We gotta go back, Doc.
Let's party.
Hello, and welcome to Party Loaded episode 0. My name is Luke Retallick. Welcome to the show, and welcome to everybody. So before I talk about what we're going to be doing tonight, I would like to introduce, get the directions right again, Christian Paulson Brown. We have...
Hello.
Matt, the Game Dad Diet.
Hi.
And we have Adrian Chia sitting below me as well. Welcome,
Hello.
Gentlemen. So, episode 0. What the heck are we doing tonight, guys? Why are we doing an episode 0 when we just did an episode 200?
Timeless void floating in serenity.
We can't count to 201.
That's it, yeah.
They're actually, we ran out of numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Numbers are over. Back to the start.
It's the Y2K of podcasting, everything reset. We're just, no.
We're done.
Mayan calendar 2012.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've been reincarnated.
Yeah.
It's actually a whole new team. Not the same at all.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's it. In fact, that's not happening.
It's Ethan Hawke.
Oh God, no. So episode 0. We're doing something a little different tonight because for anyone who actually listened to the show way back when we started, of which there's probably still a few of them out there. I've got no idea if you're watching live tonight or not. So we had a very, very different team of hosts back when we very first kicked things off, and the show was a bit different back then as well, all things considered. So what we're doing tonight is we're actually going back and doing a redo of our original episode 0. Because the whole idea is we actually kicked off the show with an episode 0, which was designed as a bit of an onboarding experience, basically, like to introduce people to who the heck we are, what Party Loaded's all about, and basically what we do here and what you can expect listening to the show, sort of going forward. So
I am a new popsicle.
we'll get to you in just a minute. So yeah, that's pretty much the idea. And you guys, of course, weren't around on the show at that time, specifically as hosts. So this is going to be fun going through these motions with you for the first time, doing the episode.
You're the old man of the podcast and of real life.
Exactly.
It's true.
I wasn't even born when you did the original episodes.
Yeah.
That's probably true. I think
It's probably not actually.
An episode now?
Literally impossible. But
Literally impossible.
yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, no. So it's going to be fun. So anyone who's catching the show for the first time tonight, or watching this on the VOD later, welcome. And you basically are going to get everything from the ground floor, and we're going to basically do like a bit of a start over. Now, that's not to say that we're not going to be resetting the numbering and going to episode 1, 2. So no. We're still sort of in the early 200s now. We're going to be pushing forward from there. This is just like a bit of a I don't know, what would you call it? Like a special edition episode.
It's like how the new God of War game was just called God of War instead of being God of War, whatever. It's like there's been enough time that we're just taking it back and we're just starting from the start conceptually, if not literally.
Yes.
And in that same vein, Luke is old Kratos, and we are all collectively his young Atreus.
Don't encourage him.
I'll just chop my head off and hang myself on his back.
Do not encourage him to just refer to us as boy for the entire episode. Don't do it.
No.
Cam boys.
Cam boy. Oh, never mind. I'm okay with that.
Luke's Cam boys.
We're the Cam boys.
See, the acronym is CAML, so I've always thought of us as the camel.
Camel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, Luke.
camel boys.
No.
You know what's scary?
You're not part of the Cam
spiders.
boys.
Have you guys seen camel spiders? They're terrifying.
Yes, they're in like the Middle East, right?
Yeah, but they're not actually spiders. They're like some other type of insect.
Okay.
So that's what the podcast is about.
Yeah, I know.
That kind of spiders. Yeah. It's about the way in which we retain water and talk about spiders.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
So, episode 200, how did it go, guys? We mainly talked about spiders. That's mainly what happened.
Oh, God. All right, well, what we actually do talk about on this show, for the most part, is video games. So let's do a proper welcome to Party Loaded. So for anyone who doesn't know what our show's all about, Christian, if you had to distill Party Loaded down into 3 words, what would you say?
I'd
put you on the spot.
Yeah, put me on the spot. I'd say idiot gaming show.
See, I was going to go with full of shit.
I don't know. Like, that's tough.
I was just going to say Luke is old. That was going to be
man. These things are all true.
It is.
What would you do? What would you say, Luke?
I would say great video games if I was being serious and not fucking around. Yeah, exactly. But I always fuck around. I don't always say that. No, that's it. So, like,
Gremlin.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. So, for more great humor and callbacks like that, go back and watch the last 200 episodes of content.
Find that reference. Yeah.
No, don't do that. The whole point of tonight is that we don't do that. So, yeah. So anyway,
If we make references, we have to explain them.
That is true. So, I guess that would sort of come into one of the types of segments that we run from time to time, because that particular reference was from a quiz segment that we did recently.
Yep.
So, Matt, what have we been doing lately with some of those quiz segments? What kind of format have we been doing in general?
Oh, we've been all over the place. Like we just kind of do whatever the hell we want whenever we do a new quiz. Like, I'm pretty sure when I ran it, I was like, I'm going to make a new type of quiz question. And then when Christian ran it later on, he was like, I'm making an entirely new one as well. So we just always throw shit at the fan and see what splatters across the room.
Sure.
I like my 20 questions, that sort of thing. That's a fun game I like to play.
Yeah, 20 questions is good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the great thing about like video games in general is the industry, compared to some other industries, moves at a pretty rapid clip. So we've always got a lot of stuff to talk about, like generally speaking. There's always change, there's always things happening, there's always new games coming out. So we probably steer away from some of the traditional game shows where we do like full-on reviews, like a lot. We have done those in the past, but I think it's very rare that we do like a dedicated game review segment unless it's something we've all played. But recurring segments for us, the staples are pretty much, we do kick off most episodes chatting about what we've played recently, and that's not necessarily from a review standpoint. That's often just our thoughts on whatever we've experienced, and that could be an old game, could be a new game, could be something weird and wacky that we've done together that's game related but not necessarily a game. So, and
it's also just at the start of the show catching up with each other and that's just like talking about what we've been playing with each other, because we're not always like texting during the week and stuff to let each other know. So
exactly. And there's definitely some recurring themes with some of those this week in gaming segments, which we try and limit a little bit. I think you'll go back and find like a good 80 episodes or so where we tried really hard not to talk about Hearthstone.
Hearthstone, Destiny, Warframe at different points. Yeah, we've had to avoid talking about those.
You can always assume with games like that we're pretty much always playing them in the background, but we don't necessarily talk about them every single week because
there are lifestyle games.
Yeah, that's a good term for them.
Yeah. But it would make for pretty repetitive content if we went back to the same well every time, unless there's something new happening in those areas. But we're pretty passionate about those things. But news, and what kind of angle would you say we take on news, Adrian? How do we tend to talk about what's going on in the industry?
I think generally we try to sort of pick the stuff that stands out as big news week to week. So particularly if something sort of big has happened during the week in gaming, usually we'll pick one item each and just sort of discuss what has been happening in the news cycle that week. What I like, which we've done sort of a bit more recently, is sort of tried to find some of the humor in the news, and really tried to sort of kind of come at it from that angle to sort of make it entertaining for people as well. So that's what I enjoy doing. But we've had some great segments in the past to do with some wacky like overseas promotions, and we always try to find the humor in that. So I enjoy it when we focus more on that. So
you can always trust Adrian to come to the show with news items about mold spores in helmets, video games based on fast food icons, or what's another one of the big go-tos that you've had recently?
Random, how bad Fallout 76 was.
That's a recurring theme. Random video game related thefts, I think, was another one that popped up a couple of times.
Yeah, that was right. When it comes to the new stuff, we try to cover the stuff that gaming news websites don't typically pick up. It's the weird random crap that falls between the cracks.
Yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, if you're coming to a podcast for news, you're probably getting it late. Because the nature of the news cycle is that if you want up-to-date sort of games industry news, you probably got a bunch of feeds that you follow on Twitter or Facebook or some such, and you're checking websites daily to find out what's sort of breaking. Like, the reason why we may attack sort of, current news of a significant nature is because we enjoy having the commentary on it and stuff that we want to talk about. So there's definitely things that have been pretty big happening in the industry that I think we've all had something we really wanted to say about.
I mean, like if a new console's announced or something, we're gonna talk about that because But if it's just like an update to an ongoing game that people who play that game, they'll already know. People who don't play that game, they're not going to care. So
yeah, it's fair to say. But the focus for us is more of our commentary on it as opposed to the actual news itself. So you find out what's happening elsewhere, but you find out what we think about it and some fun banter basically here. So and then
you can guarantee that I will rarely know what's actually going on. If Adrian ever appears clueless during the news segment, it's because he is. He actually has no clue what's happening.
Yeah. That's just how he looks.
Yeah. It's like this.
You do kind of exist in a fugue state at most times.
Yeah,
that's true.
We will actually. It's good that you mentioned that, but we'll get onto that when we talk about ourselves as hosts in a few minutes, because I think we all bring different areas of expertise and some things that are unique quirks about us, and that's definitely one of yours, which I think there's a good side to it too, which we'll talk about.
I actually don't know what you're talking about. I'm a little bit skeptical now.
We'll get to that in a minute. So yeah,
should I be afraid? Should I be afraid?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Most likely.
If to split the show into thirds after we talk about this week in gaming and whatever's in the news, then we tend to have a third segment of some sort, and that varies tremendously from week to week. So the quiz stuff that Matt spoke about before is one of the things that we've had on a semi-recurring basis. For the longest time, we've had a party game of the month segment, which we've done, surprisingly monthly, but that's changed form a little bit now. So we're doing a party stream of the month, so you'll generally be able to catch us playing a game on stream first, and then we'll come back to the show later and talk about it. We occasionally have interviews on the show. Over the last, we've been going for 4 years now. Can you believe that? 4 years. 200 episodes.
We haven't. You have.
Oh, well, the show has been going for 4 years, yeah. And in that time, we've had some pretty interesting guests over that course of episodes. So, and we've done a bunch of good ones ourselves too.
You've never had a ghost as a guest, I've noticed.
Well, nobody we've interviewed has died yet, thankfully. Is that what you're alluding to?
Still, lack of ghosts. I think that could be dialed up a little.
You actually don't know that we haven't had a ghost. There might have been a ghost in the back.
That's true. There could be here right now. Look, there's a ghost orb right there.
It's true.
Ghost orb.
Hang on, no, that's not true.
Can't explain that.
There's a freaking ghost on screen right now.
Hey, I have a ghost on my computer. There he is. Let's interview this guy.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, he ironically is dead.
Oh.
Our ghost's dead? Isn't that?
No, right? This one is killed in the game.
Oh.
Yeah, he's totes dead.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Totes dead.
Look, a bunch of other sort of semi-recurring segments over time, but generally speaking, we'll pick like a topic that we can have a good chat about, essentially. So, and look, we've actually had over the course of 4 years, on occasion, there's been some pretty interesting topics that have been suggested by people who listen to the show. So you can definitely get in touch with us and suggest stuff that you want to hear us talk about, and it doesn't necessarily need to be hardcore sort of gaming game content. It can be something that's video games adjacent. We're often happy to sort of diverge off the beaten track a little bit and chat about something fun. So yeah,
we are just dancing monkeys in the end. And if people throw peanuts at us, we'll just do whatever they want. So
not you.
Send Adrian a tweet about turtles, and I'm sure it'll turn up on the podcast.
Or crabs.
Or crabs. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, God.
Or camel spiders now, apparently.
Yeah. No, please don't do that. I'm actually terrified of spiders.
That's legit.
As much as I talk about
but that's going to have the Streisand effect, where by asking not to do it, people are going to do it more. So you're doomed.
That's true. It's all downhill now. Yeah.
I like it.
All right. So I'm going to put you guys on the spot again for a moment, and I'm going to ask you, in terms of like topics that we've covered on the show, or interviews that we've had, or main segments that we've done generally, which episode has been your favorite that you've been a part of in terms of what we've done?
I think my favorite interview might be this one. It's karma. No. I must forewarn everyone, seeing as it is episode 0, now that we are podcasting live with webcams, my cat is likely to make regular appearances because her food is kept on my desk. So that might happen now and then. Sorry to segue there. I just figured people will be wondering, what's that big fluffy black thing? It's not a ghost, it's a cat. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a ghost yet.
I would be.
Oh,
wow.
that's mean. I'm not that hungry.
Hey, facts is facts. What can I say?
We haven't had ghosts on the podcast, but we do have a fossil.
Yes.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. Perfect.
My mind is still sharp though, because it only took me like a second this time to work out where you were going with that. Oh shit. No.
Nice.
All right, Matt. So, what's your favorite episode you've been a part of?
Oh shit!
If you had to pick,
That's your punishment.
Come on, look. Okay. Is it a bit wanky if I choose an episode that I kind of took the helm on?
no, not at all.
I'm totally going to go with Gremlins.
Gremlin.
Elaborate on what that means.
Yeah.
So the Gremlin episode, I had done a quiz for my co-hosts where I was asking them about the local games industry, so the West Australian games industry, and as part of the episode, I had some questions in there where they had to choose. It was multiple choice, but they had to choose from one column and then the other. And one of the options in one of the questions was in one column Gremlin and the other column was Gremlins, and Adrian lost his shit.
Doesn't sound like me.
Very easily amused.
It was pretty good.
Yeah,
That was a really good episode.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that because I felt that it was both funny and kind of it was informative about the local industry. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good fun.
Yeah, no, it was good. Christian, what about you? If you had to pick a topic that we've covered or a show,
There's a couple that come to mind. One is when we talked about game preservation. I really like that. So the concept that certain games are trapped in the past on old legacy consoles, or their software which is very rare and hard to find these days, and that there's an effort to make sure that we're not losing games forever like we did in like old silent films, that sort of thing. And another episode I really liked was an early one, I think, that you were on, Adrian, which was the gaming reality checks one.
Oh yeah.
Where we basically just came to the show with like a burning like argument in us, just like, why do people like this in games, or like everyone needs to realize this. Like, I think mine was about hype and how people just clap at things on stage at E3 even though they have no idea if they're going to be good or not. But,
yeah.
I wasn't there for that one, and I'm so annoyed because I actually still have my rant.
I'm sure we will come back to that well at some point.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good reality checks out there, I think, that we can get quite animated about. So yeah.
I remember that episode because I think it was the first one where I had to come up with a topic.
Yeah.
That reminds me of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've actually got the episode list in front of me, just so for people who actually want to go and check these out. So the Gaming Reality Checks episode was episode 166, which we recorded back in February this year. And the one on game preservation was 172. So that was in April this year. So not that long ago. It was within the last 12 months at least. So yeah. Adrian, did you have one?
But you, Luke.
Well, actually, yeah, I'll jump in first because the one for me...
All of them. Oh, I love all of them.
No, I'll pick something that's a bit more recent because obviously I've got like 200 episodes worth to go, and there's some that I really enjoyed sort of back when. But the one that I have really loved in the last kind of 100 episodes is the episode where we reviewed a little game called Cultist Simulator. So,
oh God, yes.
Yeah. So the reason why I enjoyed that episode is because we had one of the most in-depth debates about whether this game was good or not that lasted for about 40 minutes, and we just went fucking at it. And it was one of the most interesting discussions I feel that we've ever collectively had about a game. So that was really, really good. And that was back last year in September, episode 143. So yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of that one. I thought that was really good. But we've had some pretty stellar ones lately too. There's been some great ones the last few months for sure. Yeah. Adrian, if you can't think of one, I've actually got one to suggest for you because I think it was one of your earliest.
Yeah, I think we might be thinking of the same one. There's two that come to mind. The first one, the classic semi-review of Fallout 76.
God,
So
like it's been an ongoing gag. Like,
yeah, I think
so good.
I think the reason I like that episode so much is it's because, kind of in a meta way, I kind of feel like I found my identity within the group during that podcast. So I've always felt that we'll talk about this a bit more later in the podcast, but I'm not quite as up to date with a lot of the sort of industry talk that you guys are. So I tried to figure out what can I bring to the podcast, and it was mainly vitriol, pure darkened bitterness. And that episode was maybe the first one where I fully let that fly and really had a good time. So that one comes to mind immediately because I enjoy making people laugh.
It was quality stuff.
Yeah. The second one I really enjoyed was one we did not long ago, where we did Jank or Prank, the segment where one of the hosts takes it upon themselves to usually present a video game to everyone else. And they have to guess whether it's a real video game or fake. So, and on this particular episode, we each took turns presenting a bunch of video games that some of were made up and some of them were real. And then everyone else had to guess a game show style which of those were real and which of them were fake. So I really enjoyed that one. I really enjoyed writing the video game spiels, and I liked sort of the game show element of that. So I really love any of the... For me, I love most the episodes where we play games or complain.
the two core activities of people who are into the video games hobby.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Even better if I get a chance to rant horribly about something.
Yeah. I'm just trying to recall what episode that was. That was actually not that long ago, but...
The Jank or Prank?
The Jank or Prank, yeah. I can't actually recall the number, though. It's probably in the last couple of months. But, yeah, no, it was a good time. We've done a couple of those now, and I think that both of them have been pretty awesome. No, Adrian, the episode I was actually going to call you out on was the first one that you did with us, where you actually talked about accessibility with video games.
Yeah, I think that was before I was even a regular host. I'm pretty sure I was on as a guest during that episode. That was particularly good. Again, we'll probably talk a bit more about that when we introduce ourselves and talk a bit about our background. But yeah, that of course was special to me because first time on a podcast, first time on your podcast. So yeah, really enjoyed it. Yeah.
That was the 117th episode back February last year. So that's a while ago.
Wow.
Yeah. It's weird thinking about how long ago that is now in actual numbers. That is quite some time. Holy crap. So, I think it's a pretty good overview of the show and the kind of stuff that we do. It's a good variety of things that we've covered. So, what say, gentlemen, we talk about us for a little bit. So, let's segment into a bit of a, meet the party. So, we're going to do this a little differently. I thought what would be super boring is if we actually introduced ourselves. So, what I'd like us to do is each of us take turns introducing somebody else.
No.
Yeah.
It's just like the first class.
Exactly.
In
first tutorial.
Yeah. So what?
I hate it already.
Each of us need to basically pick somebody else on the team and introduce them in whatever way you think is appropriate. This is going to open us all up. So,
can it be in limerick form?
Sure.
Interpretive dance.
So, who are they? What's their background in video games, and what do they bring to the show? All that kind of stuff. All right.
Oh, can you hear me?
Christian, I choose you.
Jesus.
No, you pick someone to go first. So you introduce whoever you want. Yeah.
Oh, so I pick someone to describe someone else?
You're introducing somebody else first. Yeah. So you can pick whoever you want to introduce.
I should introduce Adrian.
Yep, if you want.
Yep.
So who the heck's this Adrian guy? What's he all about?
So Adrian, first of all, is my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. So I've known Adrian for a long time. We used to do tabletop wargaming together, Warhammer and such. And as far as video games and stuff goes, Adrian, he's someone who he gets obsessed with certain games, right? So I think Adrian would agree that you don't play maybe as many games as we do, but when you do play games, you play them for a long time, and you go hardcore on them, and you absorb everything about them, and that's kind of how you approach life in general, is absorbing all the nutrients out of something until it's a husk, and then moving on to the next thing.
He's a game vampire.
I am Galactus both in size and
Yeah. But what that means is that when you have something to talk about, like a game that you've been playing, you tend to have really good insights into that game because you're very committed to it and very dedicated to it. So when you've talked about Warframe in the past or certain roguelikes, because I know roguelikes are one of your favorite genres, you do have a lot to say about those things. But as you alluded to before, you maybe don't have the breadth of knowledge, and particularly when it comes to the industry. I know that you're not really interested in industry personalities or what goes on at studios or even like upcoming announcements. You tend to have if I'm gonna, I know I'm gonna buy this game, so I'll just wait and buy it. I don't really care about previews, that sort of approach to it, which I actually admire. I think that's a good attitude to have, just to sit back and enjoy things and not have to always worry about like what's going on at the studio and that sort of thing. So
it's a good balance to the rest of the team in that respect, I feel, as well.
Yeah. Adrian's kind of the everyman on the podcast. So sometimes we'll talk about a topic and then Adrian will be the one to say, hang on, what did that term mean? Or like, I don't actually know what that means. And that's a good check for us because there may be listeners who also don't know what that means. So yeah, you're a good stand-in for our listeners.
Sometimes I'm doing that on purpose, and sometimes I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, I think all of us ultimately end up playing a very exaggerated version of our real selves, so which is good, both for entertainment's sake and also for things like that. So,
I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I'm going to kick myself if I don't mention later about Adrian. Have I missed anything huge? You like loot games and ongoing games and like that sort of thing. I find that's your one. You like like games that you can repeat stuff, like roguelikes and MMOs and stuff. So yeah.
Adrian, you can jump in and fill in any blanks if you like as well. So what else would you like people to know about you?
Would people like to know about what I do, or is
are we supposed to be doing like a whole? I was just talking about games.
Totally up to you guys, but I think in Adrian's case, it's actually especially relevant given some of his expertise when it comes to video games.
Okay. Well, so for those who don't know me, I am an Auslan interpreter. So Auslan is Australian Sign Language. So that Australian Sign Language for those with access to the video chat at the moment. So I studied for many years to become an Auslan interpreter. I did that through the TAFE system here in Perth. I've gone on to be part of a committee that provides training to other interpreters. I was the president of ASLI WA, which is the Australian Sign Language Interpreters Association of Western Australia. So I was in that role for a short while until I realised I wasn't very good at it. Not very good at being a president. So probably the same reason I probably wouldn't be good at running a podcast. So, but what it means is that I have a great involvement in the local WA deaf community, and I wouldn't blow my own horn to say that I'm across all areas of accessibility. Certainly I am when it comes to people with a hearing loss who are deaf or hard of hearing. So I do have a lot of knowledge in that area, and I have a lot of perspective on how people with a hearing loss may interact with gaming media or with games or the industry in that way. So, but as anyone who works in social services or in disability would tell you, I would never claim to represent deaf people on this podcast. I would leave that up to them themselves to represent themselves. But I guess that's my main area of life, and that's where I spend a lot of time working, and a lot of my professional time is spent in that area. I'm currently studying linguistics at the University of WA, so that's sort of to do with my passion with language, and being an interpreter led down that path. So now I'm looking at sort of going into that sort of academic area. So that's sort of what Luke was alluding to earlier in regards to me being a guest on the show earlier, talking about accessibility. So what it means is that anyone tuning in and watching the podcast now and then, maybe you will see me sign using Auslan on the video. So that's a good hook to get you involved watching. Yay!
Nice.
That's the most serious you'll ever hear Adrian be.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Like, I'd like to believe I am actually professional. So and I guess the only other thing I would say is that I also love singing. So I'm also part of a barbershop quartet, and I enjoy that.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it.
You may hear those talents from time to time, depending on what the mood is that strikes.
Perhaps. But Christian sort of nailed that sort of summary of me. He's absolutely correct that I tend to drain things of all their worth before moving on. It's because I have a very short attention span, and that unfortunately is true for every aspect of my life. So when I get into a game, I really get into it, unless I don't like it, and then I really don't like it. So in the same way where I like my food to be very intense, I also like my experiences to be very intense. So
always chasing that dragon.
That's right. I'm always trying to, get the most out of everything. So yeah, that's it.
Climax early, but climax hard.
Oh God.
Anywho,
Oh dear.
Banned from Twitch.
So Adrian,
Inappropriate.
who would you like to introduce that's not Christian? Because we need to do like a loop essentially. So
All right. Well, I will pick you, Luke, only because Matt, I don't know you as well.
Yeah,
So,
I'm the odd one out here. I don't envy anybody that has to be. They're gonna be like, yeah, Matt is some guy.
No,
He turns up
you
one
have a
day.
very distinct thing about you that we'll get to later.
but look, I'll introduce you. So, I mean, and feel free again to interject anytime I misrepresent.
I'll wait till you're done.
Yeah. I mean, the main thing you need to know about Luke is that, like, if you sneezed on him, he would blow away in a cloud of dust because he is so mummified that, like, you have to be careful when you're in the same room as him because you're probably breathing in part of his fossilized, mummified body.
The other thing you need to know about Adrian is he's really fucking predictable.
You know how they say that in every breath there's at least one molecule that from Julius Caesar?
Yeah.
That's like Luke's entire body was around back then.
Yeah. I think Luke is Julius Caesar. I think that's how it was.
I've certainly got the stab marks on my back right at this moment. That's fucking sure.
Nice. All right. Joking aside, I've known Luke a very long time. I've known Luke since I was maybe 15, 16.
It's about
Quite a long time. Luke and I go way back. We both used to work for Games Workshop, which is a tabletop wargaming miniatures company, for those who aren't aware. So you build and paint miniatures. So Christian, Luke, and I all did that hobby when we were younger, and that's when I first met Luke. And Luke has always been categorized for me. I've used this phrase before, as someone who gives a lot of fucks. So in life, there are people who don't give a fuck, and I'm kind of one of those people. I'm that kind of person that, like, it takes a lot to get motivated and whatnot. Luke, I've found, is one of those people that's always sort of leading the charge and, creating something new and getting something up and running and sort of working on bringing people together. So,
like this podcast.
Like this podcast, exactly. And Luke has had a history of creating some really great communities and sort of creating really professional kind of hubs where people can come together and experience a hobby together. And I guess Party Loaded is really a reflection of that too, where Lucas had a huge hand in bringing together the podcast and really, it really shows in the quality and the production value of Party Loaded, where all of that, and I don't think anyone would disagree, all of that is sort of Luke's doing. So any kind of professional
I would disagree, but sure.
Okay, well, I think Luke has a lot, so I certainly don't have anything to do with it. So,
I only disagree from the perspective of underselling the efforts of the rest of the people involved, but yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's a bit about Luke's sort of motivations. So he as far as his gaming habits go, I personally didn't know Luke was such a huge gamer until finding out about it sort of later, because Luke and I sort of weren't in contact regularly the whole time we were working together. But I know that Luke enjoys quite a lot of retro titles, probably, again, because he was like already in his 30s when a lot of them came out. So he's probably just, logged them away. And here's actually, you know what? This is how I would sum up Luke and his gaming habits. If a game looks like the cover of a heavy metal album, Luke will love it.
That sounds.
That is actually
yeah. If something sounds like Fear Factory, Luke will love it.
This is true.
Yep. And one thing Luke loves more than anything else in the world is getting hype.
Absolutely.
Jacked up on hype. Like,
I was wondering if you were going to mention that.
Luke could perhaps be the most hyped up dude I have ever met. So in a way, he is the raging yin to my placid yang, where Luke will come to the podcast with a game in tow, ready to vomit its glory onto the rest of us, and I'm the guy with the SeaWorld style ponchos protecting everyone else from sort of the pure furor that Luke will display. And I think that, is a pretty good summary of Luke and what he does. So, I mean, that's just everything I can remember. But Luke, feel free to talk about yourself too.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
You didn't mention puns.
Oh my God, the puns!
Puns. It's the worst part of this podcast.
Get out while you can. use this as Blair Witch style.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm hiding in the tent. He's found me. The puns, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
If you listen to a single episode of Party Loaded, sorry, let me rephrase. There is not a single episode of Party Loaded that does not have horrible puns in it.
I'm not always responsible, though. No, I'm not always responsible.
No, but
we were so close in episode 199.
Oh my God.
And then Christian fucked it up.
Someone had to.
That's pretty good.
Wouldn't be Party Loaded without Luke's puns. It should be called
It's true.
Punny Loaded.
Yeah. But
Punny Loaded.
That's not restricted to the podcast by any stretch, and anyone who knows me in real life knows that to be fact. So, yeah. No, I'll give you a funny story behind the whole pun thing, because that's something that I actually consciously developed as a part of my sort of regular habits due to my vocation, funnily enough. So, or maybe I kind of just melded it in. I'm not entirely sure. So, as a profession, I'm actually involved in learning and development, which means that I spend a lot of time standing up in front of classrooms of people, or speaking to audiences and doing that kind of stuff. These days, I'm a lot more sort of behind the scenes kind of L&D, where I do a lot of design work, and I'm an instructional designer first and foremost, working for a video games company here in Perth. But the fun thing about puns is that it's actually a technique that I've used over the years to teach myself to be able to think on my feet. So the ability to very quickly come up with something like a play on words, or to respond to something that somebody says in a manner like that, is actually a skill over the years that I've continued to build on, because it helps me do everything else I need to do when I'm standing up in front and presenting to people. So that's the actual reason why I've cultivated that so strongly over the years. And
I agree that it is despite its horribleness, you are very good at it. But you know what else was a skill? Being Hitler. Being Hitler was a skill.
Yeah. I was gonna say, when you get really, really old, you have to do whatever you can to keep your mind sharp. So
also that. No, look, at the end of the day, we've all got our talents when it comes to thinking quickly, but this is just the way that I've particularly worked on mine. So yeah, maybe I have to do that. Maybe that's just my method, if you like. But yeah, no. Look, everything else that Adrian says pretty spot on. As far as games go, I'm pretty much spread across all mediums of gaming, not just video games, but obviously what I love to talk about on the show here. Also play a lot of board games, tabletop war games, RPGs. On the odd occasion. Yeah, on the odd occasion, you'll see us chat about some of those different things in snippets on the show. But yeah, obviously, video games being the focus. And I play a shitload of them because I like to not sleep. So, yeah, gives me a little bit of extra time in each day. All right, well, I will introduce Matt then, I think. It's probably only fitting. So,
God help us. God help me.
All right, so
I'm taking all these jabs. I'm going to get jabbed back.
Oh, look, you know that is a dish best served cold, and I'm going to do it when you're least expecting it. So
fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
All right, look, in all fairness, Matt's actually a relatively straightforward one to introduce for me, because I have spent a shitload of time with him in the last couple of years, and I think that's probably most reflective of who you are when it comes to when it comes to the show. So now, out of everybody, Matt's actually the person that I've known for the least amount of time. I think we've known each other quite well for probably about 2 years now.
About around that long.
Getting to around that time. So we sort of had passing contact before that point. But so Matt and I actually met originally sort of in passing just through various contacts in the local video games industry. And I think that the first time we actually sat down and had a proper kind of, chinwag was at PAX a couple of years ago, where we, over a couple of drinks just started talking about sort of game design stuff. And that ended up being like a conversation that was a blur over the course of a couple of hours. And I think at that time I realized that we had a lot in common. And it was probably a conversation that I wanted to have again in the future. And then orchestrated a way that we could do it every fucking week.
Pretty much.
So,
yeah,
that worked out pretty good, I think. Yeah. But Matt is... I'll start with the nickname because I think that's probably the thing that people will need to understand first. So you'll hear me introduce Matt every single episode of Party Loaded as the Game Dad. So, and that is a moniker that is something that Matt has adopted himself, but it's also grown from his role as a producer in his former role working for a studio called Stirfire Studios, and also sort of pursuing game production as an area of focus in his career. So, and as you've said many times before, sort of being a games producer is also a bit like sort of becoming the dad of the studio. You make sure that all of the kids, being that the other studio devs and workers are all sort of taking care of themselves and not crunching, and making sure they eat when they need to eat, and making sure that they ultimately also do their homework and all the kind of stuff that they have to do as part of their job. But you kind of are that role where you're helping them along as opposed to sort of whipping them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, essentially fits that. But you're also a massive enthusiast when it comes to sort of that role, and then you're sort of placed through that in the rest of the games industry. So you're also a games developer. You work on your own stuff. You have done for many, many years. You've got a game that you're working on right now, which has actually been fortunate enough to get local funding in the last sort of 12 months, which is a huge boon. Looking forward to seeing the product of that eventually. And at the moment, you've sort of transcended that production role into actually teaching your skills when it comes to the games development business in general in an educational sort of medium. So you're actually actively lecturing at the moment as part of your role, and a huge amount of expertise to sort of share in that respect too. So you've been involved in various sort of talks and presentations, different sort of events around the country. But yeah, in terms of the industry and in terms of the rights and the well-being of games workers, I think in particular you've always got a lot to say, and that's sort of fed quite heavily into some of the topics of recent times that we've touched on that have been kind of in the news, as well as general stuff that we've hit on in the show. But yeah, I feel like
Matt adds a lot of validity to our podcast by bringing a lot of perspectives that
I think so.
We would not normally think of because he's involved directly in the industry. So
definitely the most switched on as far as the industry goes. Yeah. Well, it's all relative to us, really. So yeah, but you understand more about how the sausage is made, having actually been involved in that side of the things a bit more than the three of us have, and certainly sort of lend that expertise when it comes to various discussions that we've had on different topics. So yeah, which is really, really good. And as far as being a gamer goes, I think you're into quite similar stuff to me for the most part. Definitely an RPG fan. You're a huge sucker for anything that's got a good story, a good narrative that you can really latch onto. And anything involving grand strategy, I think, also tickles your fancy quite a bit. So yeah. And I don't know about caramel. That could just be an Adrian thing. So
I'm jealous with the caramel, honestly.
I found it in a servo.
Oh, what?
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the big stuff. Feel free to plug any gaps as well. So
so like the games thing, I've been a game developer for 7 years now. And only 3 of that was Stirfire. But that was kind of where I got the moniker with Game Dad. But before all that, I was actually working on exhibition pieces for SciTech, which is a science learning center here in Western Australia, where kids can go in and they can play these really neat exhibits that are all science, technology, English, maths, and such. Like they orient around those topics. So I interned with SciTech, and then I went into web development with SciTech, and then I resigned from web development at SciTech, and then they hired me back to basically work as a contractor on their exhibitions, which was really, really good. And I did that for a couple of years. But the Game Dad thing, I feel like, I'm not even sure if I've told any of you the story about how that actually became a title.
I'm pretty sure I've heard it. I just can't remember it.
You probably have, yeah. So I was off in the United States at a friend's wedding over in Ohio. Yeah. And this was one of the guys that I played World of Warcraft with like over a decade ago now. He and I just had remained really good friends. And he asked about what I do, because he's heard games production. He had no idea what that actually meant because he understood film production, but not games. And I described it, I take care of the team. I make sure that things are getting done and they're taking care of themselves. And, that we try not to overwork and that sort of thing. And he kind of just interjected and he was like, so you're a game dad? That is actually the easiest description of my job that I have ever heard. And just like immediately adopted it. Like it was so damn good. I bought it back. Stirfire fell in love with it. And I think the day that it kind of like the deal was sealed when I got a gift on Father's Day of a key ring that says #1 dad.
Oh,
so that was the day I was like, okay, yeah, no, game dad, that's it. I'm stuck with this now.
So I think the only one of us that is an actual like real life dad is me, but I'm happy to cede the title to you for that reason alone.
Like I'm pretty sure I said on my profiles in a couple of places, I'm dad only in title. But yeah,
can I call you Game Daddy?
I think only Adrian can get away with that.
Whenever one of my students wants to make me cringe, they will shout "Daddy" across the school.
Ooh, that's risky.
But yeah, so the teaching thing's been really good. But I suppose the only other thing that I should mention is that for me, unlike Adrian, apparently the president thing stuck because I'm the chair of Let's Make Game here in Western Australia, which is a game developer advocacy group. So we basically make events for local West Australian game developers and get the ball rolling on things to try and help them out, funding and initiatives like that, which we basically end out trying to help government understand a bit more about the local industry. But our primary role is all about events and such. So like Global Game Jam, which I've done an episode on the podcast where I've asked everybody else to do a Global Game Jam style thing, like come up with a game concept based upon this theme.
Yeah.
Organizing that Perth Games Festival, which we weren't able to host this year. But that's a thing that we do year over year. And then just monthly talks and that sort of thing. Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff we cover.
Not just sort of video games either, like broader than that as well, but video games being a big theme.
Yeah. Tabletop games and such. Like we support the local board game and tabletop game industry as well. And I suppose other than all the professional side of things, like I think pretty much like everybody else here, I got into the Warhammer thing pretty late. And I
didn't even know you did.
No, I only paint. Like I basically have a whole bunch of minis that I paint. But D&D and tabletop role playing games and everything, like I'm pretty much the DM in groups. So I go and DM for them, and on a very rare occasion, I get to enjoy being a player character. I also enjoy creating things for people. I think that's kind of why I ended out in game dev, like just the enjoyment of seeing people absorb and have fun with something that I made. Yeah,
make me a dungeon daddy.
Oh God!
No!
Oh
no!
God!
Don't make me hate my title.
We have to get you both in the room at some point when Matt's running a game and Adrian's playing it. I would love to see that.
I actually take my Dungeons and Dragons very seriously.
That's true.
So do I.
You really do. I think all of us do actually. So,
yeah. Freaking love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Nice.
Well, I guess that means I've got to introduce Christian.
You've got to, I guess.
Yeah. I'm sorry, buddy.
I wouldn't want to. So.
Come on.
So Christian's a weeb.
That's fair. Moving on.
Can we see some evidence?
Good night, everybody.
I'm sure you've got some local evidence in there, Christian. Have you got something?
There's an entire VHS collection of Evangelion here, and there's pretty much just a general shrine to Evangelion here with assorted memorabilia and things. So yeah, that's evidence right there. I'm also wearing a Cowboy Bebop t-shirt. So
Cowboy Bebop's really good. So
yes, it
can't
is.
judge you for that.
Mm-hmm.
So Christian, I actually relate to Christian a lot. I've only known Christian long as we've been on the podcast together, pretty much. Which is why I say I'm the odd one out. Like, all these guys know each other from well before the podcast. I'm pretty much the new guy here. But Christian is in science. So he's been doing is it biology? Like, you've been involved.
That was my undergrad. Yeah,
that's your undergrad.
That was my undergrad, and my honors degree was in conservation biology.
Yeah. So there's this whole thing with Perth. Like, Perth is only a very small city. And we have this thing that we call getting Perthed. At least in the games industry, we call it getting Perthed, where you end out being asked about somebody else or working with somebody else that you know from some other way. And this happened to me when I was doing contracting for a organization here in Western Australia for a university. And it turned out that Christian was on the project. And we had already known each other from the podcast, but it was the first time we actually met in person was by me going and actually being at this thing for a meeting with Christian already on the project. And that was so you're just involved in a whole bunch of different science, because like that was all about astronomy.
Astronomy,
yeah. Every time I say astronomy, I'm having to pause, like, not astrology, astronomy.
Right. I'll fill in the link there between why I did biology and how I ended up at that astronomy.
Yeah, please do.
Which is after my honors degree, I did a master's degree at UWA, specifically in science communication. So not in the actual practice of conducting science, but in studying science as its place in society. So what people think about science, how science factors into people's everyday lives, why people get interested in science, and the history of science as a method of investigation. And so I'm interested in any area that science intersects with people's lives, which is surprisingly almost everything.
Yeah.
So I wound up at that institute in there as a science communicator, working on like public outreach projects. And at the moment, I'm working at a plant science center. But yeah, like I didn't study like plant biology. I was more of an animal guy. But there, I help with their outreach activities. Like they do a virtual reality like plant cell tour, managing their social media. Making videos for them, writing their press. I do a lot of like press releases where I'm talking to the scientists in this science center and kind of in a way translating their science into something that the general public can understand through my sort of skills as a communicator. And yeah, so I don't actually do science day to day. I do science communication day to day.
Yeah.
I would not to steal away from you, Matt, but again, because Christian was my best man, I know him incredibly well. I think one of the main things Christian brings to the podcast is long ago when I was still sort of a fledgling, Christian introduced me to the idea of sort of critical thinking and skepticism, and it really sort of changed the way that I viewed the world in regards to sort of analyzing information and being able to sift through large amounts of information to find out what's true or not. And Christian really set me on that path. And I think it's one of his most profound skills linked to his sort of interest in science and critical thought and empiricism. I find on the podcast, Christian can always be relied upon to present the most accurate information. So often there will be, things that we may be unsure of. We might have something that, we've misinterpreted, and I can always rely on Christian to be providing the actual facts of any particular situation. And that comes with that a good degree of thoroughness, which I really enjoy. And it happens, casually when Christian and I have conversations about random things when we catch up for lunch. It's one thing I've always enjoyed is as a communicator, he's very good at sort of getting the information across and making sure that you get the right information. So I think it's one of his particular strengths on the podcast is sort of being able to get that through to listeners.
So just to respond to some of our audience in chat. So basically he showed you something dark and sinister and you were never the same.
That's in truth, my vitriolic dark worldview is because of Christian.
I would just like to add two things onto that. One is that I think that as far as Christian's sort of critical thinking side of things goes, there is definitely a harsh juxtaposition to that on occasion with particular things, in much the same way that I do, where if you pick the right thing, he will fucking hype out like real hard. So certain things,
I think that's a distinction there between like value statements and factual statements. So like in conversation and in argument, I'll take issue and I like to be as accurate as I can with fact statements. But with the value statement, like how much somebody loves something or what somebody's interested in or how much hype someone's giving, that's a different story. Yeah. I can just love something to death, even if it has flaws, even if it has problems, whatever, just because that's it speaks to my taste and my values.
That's true. Yeah. The other thing I'd say is that, to his credit, Christian typally is usually the smartest guy in the room. So because
I'd agree with that.
Matt and I are always running late. So,
Christian would never agree himself, which is a virtue, but I tend to agree. If not the smartest, usually the most well informed.
Yeah,
cool.
I can see that.
I'll just also mention with the science communication thing, part of the reason I got into that is not just for the promotion of how much I love science, but for my interest in why other people don't, or where science communication goes wrong. So why people believe in like pseudoscientific things, how people are manipulated by people who misuse and manipulate others with like dodgy science, and how we can sort of harden people's critical armor to protect themselves from being manipulated, because there's a lot of bullshit out in society that does a lot of harm, and I'm interested in kind of understanding why that happens and sort of what we can do about it. So.
It's really interesting as well when it comes to this show, because the number of times that those themes have played heavily into video games is remarkable. So, yeah.
Matt joked at the start of just the description of me saying I'm a weeb. That is totally true. And when it comes to games, that's also really true. So I tend to play a lot of Japanese games, and I tend to follow Japanese creators and happenings in the sort of Japanese scene maybe more closely than you guys do. So a lot of the news segments I might bring up will be like obscure things that have happened, in Asia. And yeah.
I think like also kind of speaking to Christian's choice in games, like you are very much about challenge and like games that kind of challenge your skill and such. We had a really, really cool discussion just a couple of episodes back about it was about Destiny and about how like different games challenge you and that sort of thing, because you're the guy that's played Sekiro over and over and over again, and just finished that repeatedly, and I think that's really freaking cool. And it just even kind of thinking about the structure of our podcast and the kind of roles that everybody fills, right? Like if Luke and Adrian are kind of like opposites of each other when it kind of comes to hype, I feel like you and I are kind of two sides of the same coin when it comes to science, because like I've been in science not as a scientist or a science communicator, but to assist scientists in communicating what they want through games. And then also, I really don't like challenging game.
That's true. We all swing pretty hard in different opposite directions for some things.
That is definitely true. I do enjoy games that are challenging as long as they are mechanically fun. Like I don't enjoy like really hard puzzle games a lot of the time, because the actual inputs that I'm doing aren't enjoyable. But I enjoy games that are mechanically challenging. That's also just like, that's a part of what I like, like we on our 200th episode, we did our top 10 games of all time. And a lot of those weren't challenging games. Like Journey is my number 10 game of all time. That's not a challenging game. Pokemon was never really challenging. That's my favorite game of all time. So I do also really like narrative and themes and characters. I'd actually point to themes in games that I really like. I love watching like YouTube analysis videos of themes in games. So that's why like Nier Automata is one of my favorite games of all time, and the Persona series, and other things like that. So I love digging deep into the themes and the meaning behind games.
Anything with a bent towards history, I'd say as well. You've got a soft spot for.
Yeah, I definitely have soft spot for history as well.
Yeah.
Kind of a twin passion along with science.
Yeah.
And a good like representation of that challenge thing is one of my favorite things in any game is a parry mechanic. I love parrying, where if I can time something correctly to parry an attack, that's like that gives me like goosebumps. I just love parrying, and that's usually a high skill thing to do. So.
I think we can psychoanalyze that statement pretty well.
Oh yeah, totally loves crossing swords every chance he gets. Yeah.
Well, like it's also a rhythm game thing, right? Because like if I recall, Christian's also a massive fan of rhythm games.
Definitely.
I talked before about the fact that, in my opinion, like games like Dark Souls and Sekiro have a rhythm. You know, you fight to a rhythm in them. You don't have a musical rhythm, but you do have a combat rhythm.
Totally.
And so like it's all this, like, you know, Christian analyzes things and I analyze things, and even though I don't enjoy, you know, massively challenging games, the fact that we can talk about these things and the design of them, like, you know, I'm not going to play Sekiro. Like, I will play it, I'll pick it up, I probably won't finish it, but like I can really respect and enjoy a conversation with somebody that has dug so deep into the mechanics of it, as to understand it, that I can absorb that and learn from it as a game developer, which is really nice.
Absolutely. Yeah. So before we sort of get off chatting about our party, I think we would be remiss without mentioning that we actually have had other hosts involved in the show from the very get-go as well, and I want to throw them a bit of love also, because one of them is actually in chat right now. So back when we very first started Party Loaded from the original episode 0, of which this is a redo, we also had very, very close and near to and dear to us, we had Jam, we had Ollie, and we had Imogen, also known as Mimo. And so those three plus me sort of made up the original sort of cast of 4. And over the time between the show sort of starting 4 years ago and now, we've gradually sort of had an evolution where we've switched up to the 4 of us now. But that's never been like a straight away thing. That was a gradual sort of thing. Imogen had to step back from the show at one point because her work was just getting crazy, and Christian stepped in. Christian to fill that void. And then when we had our other change ups, and Jam has sort of more recently had to step back from the show and left us as is. And Adrian just always needs to go to the toilet, apparently. So
No, I just noticed we've got a really good question in chat. Someone's asking where the name Party Loaded came from.
Well, and what it means.
Yeah. What it means, yeah.
Well, what do you guys think it means? Because I don't know if I've actually ever had this chat with you. So
Party. Well, I just assumed that everyone was just totally drunk the whole time they were talking.
To me, Party Loaded means we're all here and ready to talk about games. Like we're loaded, and we're the party, and we're going to talk about games. I don't know.
I thought it was the title to a really bad sequel to Party.
What?
Like, what, you got the Matrix Reloaded.
Oh,
So,
right.
Yeah.
That was almost punny. Almost.
It was just bad.
It's actually funny. Like, I don't know if we ever sort of decided that there was a firm link to any one particular thing, but I think Christian's probably the closest. Like, ultimately, I've always seen it as there's a bit of that time where, you know, all of you are sort of waiting to load into a game, and as a group, you have fun discussions about the game together, and it's kind of that social time that you spend. So it's almost like we're
party loading then.
Well, no, because we eventually get there. I don't know. Don't psychoanalyze it too much. But no,
I like to believe it's each of us being individually loaded into a cannon, like one of us at the front, then each of us behind each other in the tube.
Like a human centipede.
Like a human centipede. I was just about to say that. Human centipede style. And then we're launched into the future as we, you know, blast our way into tomorrow. That's my interpretation of Party Loaded.
Lovely.
I'd like to leave the podcast.
Party Loaded is actually an acronym.
Yeah, for.
See if you can figure it out at home and write in and let us know.
I think I know what it is.
Actually, that's a good one. Like, acronym or not, I'd love people to actually tell us what they think it should mean. So,
I think it means, personally, all rabbits try yearly, looking over a lot of dead Easter Detritus.
You were close, but you went a lot. I don't know if that's 2 words. I don't know if that counts.
I failed.
That's a pretty valiant effort, though. that's
You tried.
Very Easter themed.
Well, Jam thinks you cracked the code, so there we go. You've got the tick from one of the original hosts. There you go.
Yes, that's obviously what it is now.
Obviously.
All right. Well, anyway, let's move on to the fun part of the episode that I've lined up for you all. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a bit of a rapid fire question section on general video game questions. So this will help to further sort of give everybody a bit of an impression as to who we are when it comes to video games, what we like and what we know and that kind of stuff. So I have a carefully curated list of 30 video game rapid fire questions. I say carefully curated. I actually stole most of this off of another website. So for anyone who wants to go and check it out, there's actually an article on a site called levelskip.com, which originally did a list of fun video game questions to ask. The list they had was 50, and some of the stuff was a bit not quite appropriate for our audience. So I've refined it somewhat, changed some questions. So this is kind of like a product of that. But this is basically what we're going to do. So 30 questions.
More like party thieves.
Yeah, a bit more sort of relative to us, I think. So now the way I want to do this is because it is designed as rapid fire, and I want you all to sort of just like bam off the cuff response. Don't think about it too much. I know what questions are on this list. It's going to be hard for me to do that, but I'll do my best. I'm just going to change up the order a little bit as we go along. So for the first 10, I'd like to have Christian answer first, then Matt, then Adrian, and then I'll change it up after the first 10. Okay? Sound good?
Yeah, I'm scared too.
All right, so first question.
Slowly around.
All right, what's a game you thought you'd like but actually hated?
Oh, God, this is
This is hard. This is gonna be super hard.
They're not all this hard.
Okay, Persona 4 Ultimax. So this was the fighting game version of Persona 4.
Okay, Matt.
Yep.
I really don't want to say it because I didn't. Oh, actually, no. I just thought the right game. Red Dead Redemption 2.
That's a good call. Yeah, fair enough. Listen back to our full episode on that discussion. Yeah. Adrian?
Was it like then hated or hated then like?
That you thought you'd like but actually hated.
You thought you'd like but hated it.
Tough. It's not easy.
Oh, what's it called?
It's really tough.
Lasso?
Cowboy game.
Red Dead Redemption.
Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
Okay.
Red Dead
High five.
Redemption.
Similar one.
I tried to recommend that to you multiple times, and it always bounced off.
Yeah, it never
Yeah.
stuck. Red Dead Redemption.
Cool.
Because I love westerns. I love westerns, but I don't like Red Dead Redemption.
That's fair. For me, I'd probably say Slay the Spire. So, yeah, I was not a fan of that game, and I thought I'd love it because of the card mechanics. So, yeah. All right, second one, along a similar vein. What's a really popular game that everybody seems to love, but you don't like?
Oh, that's easy.
So,
Destiny 2.
okay. Matt?
Yeah.
Dark Souls.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, any GTA game, any of them.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, I hate GTA.
For me, it's Rocket League. Yeah, do not like. It combines my two most hated genres in video games,
We
sports
got
and
Bass
racing.
Toaster in the chat saying Borderlands. Not a fan of Borderlands. I get it.
Yeah.
I
get it too, actually, to be
Definitely see
honest.
people, yeah. All right, so let's flip it on its head. What's a game you didn't expect to enjoy but ended up liking? Christian.
Didn't expect to enjoy, but in the end, I did like it. That is a tough one. Didn't expect to enjoy because it's unlike I wouldn't usually play a game if I'm not going to expect to enjoy it.
Yeah, you wouldn't buy it.
Yeah, so that's difficult. Maybe that's one of the party games.
Yeah.
Maybe like Teleblast. Not that.
Oh, yeah.
I just thought Teleblast was going to be just like Pong, right? But then that game ended up being super fun. So
Yeah,
yeah, Teleblast.
that's a good call.
Yeah, this is a really tough one. Say that I didn't expect to enjoy because like Christian, like I don't typically buy games that I think I'm not going to enjoy. Geez. Yeah, I really don't know. Like, I can't think of anything. Teleblast kind of falls into that place where it's like Teleblast isn't the sort of game that I would have gone and bought myself. But I enjoyed it way more than I was expecting. So yeah, I'd probably also say Teleblast, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to say Dishonored because I don't like stealth gameplay. I don't like stealth games. I don't like being stealthy. I don't like it when you play a class that has stealth abilities, but I really enjoyed Dishonored, and that's all about sneaking around. So that's probably the best example I can think of.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Watch Dogs 2. I thought that I would actually really dislike that game, but as it turned out, it was pretty freaking legit. So yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of that. It was a good time. All right, so number 5. Number 4. What game have you spent the most amount of hours in? If you had to guess,
Hearthstone. It's 100% Hearthstone.
Hearthstone for you?
I'm actually almost glad they don't track it because it'd be an insane amount of hours.
Horrific, yeah.
Scary.
Yeah.
Okay, look, this is tough. Okay, because it's either gonna be one of 3 games. If it's all time, that's World of Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like recently on my Steam list, it's Stellaris, or it's Destiny, but not Destiny 2. It's one of those 3. I would have to go and actually look at the numbers. Honestly, it's probably World of Warcraft has been the game I've played the most. Yeah.
Okay. And Adrian, what would it be for you?
It's definitely Diablo 3, which I never thought would be the case because it's funny where it's not a game. It's not a game that I like that blows my mind. It's just I think because of the nature of the game, because it's literally like grind-tastic. I think it combined with like just putting on a YouTube video on one monitor and putting on Diablo 3 on the other and just sitting there for hours. Diablo 3, I've got like stupid amounts of hours in that.
For me, I think it's Minecraft, which is surprising because I actually came to it quite late. But if it's not Minecraft, it'd be either Hearthstone or Red Alert. Command & Conquer Red Alert.
Oh.
So probably one of those two. But
you probably spent 40 years playing Red Alert.
I probably spent a long time playing Red Alert. I actually used to run a Red Alert fan site a long time ago.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Luke was in the original war.
All right. Number 5. If you had to pick a video game world to live in, what world would it be? Christian.
Oh, a video game world to live in.
Rapid fire. Come on.
Rapid fire. The Mario world, because it all just seems happy and nothing bad's going to happen other than but Bowser's not going to kidnap me, so I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Animal Crossing.
Dante's Inferno.
The fuck?
Brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah, moving on.
All right. I'm going to...
Don't question it, Luke.
I'm going to say GTA. The GTA settings in general.
That's a bit like sociopathic.
Oh, absolutely. I could do whatever the fuck I wanted and just get out of jail the next day.
What if you're just a random NPC? Anyway.
Well, then I'd respawn after getting mowed down by somebody, theoretically. So. All right. Now, Christian, this is what I'm particularly interested to see your response to. If you had have you ever had a crush on a video game character and who?
Garrus.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Totally Garrus.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have to say Tali.
Okay. All right. Adrian.
Zangief.
I was waiting for like Blastoise.
Zangief.
Oh, Crabby?
Crabby. Oh, Crabby. Yeah, Crabby.
Oh my god.
I love like that he's foaming at the mouth and he's like, pinchy.
Jesus.
Crabby. Perfect.
I'm
never gonna unsee that.
I go way back to my childhood with this one. The one that I remember the earliest sort of crush I had on as a kid was actually Chun-Li.
Oh,
a long time ago. Yeah.
Spinning bird kick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a long time later, it became apparent to me that any woman who can crush my spine between her thighs has probably got some talents as well. But yeah, that was it back then. Yeah. All right. What was the first game, Christian, that you ever remember playing?
Ooh. First game I ever remember playing. I've thought about that before, and I'm not sure, but I'm gonna say maybe there's a game called Data Storm that was on the Amiga, and it's like a little spaceship game. Data Storm.
Okay.
Data Storm.
Mario Mario All-Stars, I think. Like I got a Super Nintendo for my parents for Christmas. I remember Super Mario All-Stars. Yeah.
Okay.
Like playing or seeing?
Playing.
It was in primary school. We used to have like computer lab time, and there's an old DOS game there's like a little blue spaceman. I can't remember the name of it. It was something. Oh shit! I can't remember the name of it now. I remember looking it up. But someone in the chat, Google it and find it.
Little Blue Space Game.
Little Blue Spaceman DOS game.
That's all the search terms you need.
That's what I used. I found it.
Okay.
I just can't remember. It was Captain something or...
Oh, not Commander Keen or something like that.
No. It was before that. It was older than that even.
Okay, interesting.
Captain something, I think.
All right. My first memory of playing a video game ever was actually playing Frogger. So... Super old school because, yes, I know, fucking I'm old. All right.
I thought yours would have been like projected shadows on the cave wall or something would have been, the first game you ever played.
No, it was actually close between that and Load Runner. I think Load Runner was one of the early ones as well. Yeah.
Yep.
What game did you last fully complete, Christian?
I should know this. This is scary. What game did I got a platinum trophy recently in Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay, cool. Matt?
It's actually really easy for me because it was only a couple of days ago. Outer Worlds.
Nice.
Completed. I think Sekiro?
Okay.
Yeah, I played some other games. I haven't finished them.
Last one I think I fully completed was probably Telling Lies. I think that was the last one I finished, wrapped up on. Yeah. Christian, in your opinion, what is the best games console?
The Nintendo 64.
Okay. Matt?
I don't know. The best. Oh god. Okay. Look. Okay. If it's personal best, it's Xbox.
The original Xbox.
I went with personal.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm choosing personal, so Xbox.
All right, Adrian.
PS1. It's the first console I ever owned.
PS1.
So it's got to be PS1.
Mine's actually changed very recently. I'm going to plant a flag for PS4 now. That's actually, I think, top. All right. What is the best weapon you've ever used in a game, Christian?
I'm just going to go with the BFG from Doom.
Nice. Solid choice.
Like original.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Covenant Carbine from Halo.
Cool.
Best weapon. Oh, she's drinking my Coke. Best weapon in a game. Oh, I need to get a new Coke now.
Do you really?
No. I think.
What about that Jack? Not Jack and Daxter or Ratchet and Clank? Do you like that
Ratchet
shit?
and Clank. That shit. It's a good game.
Console. What's your best game console? Oh no, we already did that. Sorry, best weapon.
No, it's best weapon.
Yeah.
Okay, best weapon. The one that just comes to mind is the Shrink Ray in Duke Nukem. You just shrink and you stomp on them.
Okay.
That was good.
Fun.
Yeah,
I like it.
I'm going to pick the Leviathan axe from God of War.
Ah, that's a good one.
A couple of years ago, yeah. I love the way it felt. I thought that was awesome. All right.
You've had time to think about these answers. That's not fair.
Some of them I'm kind of thinking of on the spot.
I'm first up on all the questions, guys.
Yeah. Anyway, so we've done 10, so we're going to change it up now. Matt's first now, and we're going to go Matt, me, Adrian, then Christian. Okay?
See, now I get to suffer.
That's it. All right. So, Matt, have you ever had to stop playing a game because it was too scary? And what was it? Yes.
Oh, that's easy. Yes.
What was it?
Oh, God.
Super Mario 64.
Super Mario All-Stars. I beat it up. Like, oh, no, too much for me. No. Okay, if I'm going to have to point to a recent one, Alien Isolation.
Oh, good call. Yep. I'm just going to cop out and say no, I have never had to stop playing. So, but the one that's come closest for me is probably Silent Hill 2. Adrian.
Yeah, Fallout 76. Fucking terrifying. I could barely contain my fear playing that game.
Yep.
Pretty sure I pissed my pants.
Christian.
And the smell was not unlike the experience of playing Fallout 76. So I guess in that way it was immersive at least.
I want to say PT. I think I might have had to stop PT and come back, but definitely Silent Hill 1, actually.
Yeah. Okay, good calls. All right, so Matt, has a game storyline ever made you cry?
Yes. Several.
Yeah.
I'm going to point to one that is kind of weird, but Halo 3.
Okay. Yep. I can see it. Some pretty intense character moments in that game from what I understand. I've had a bunch that have made me cry, but probably the one that's made me absolutely openly bawl was that Dragon Cancer.
Oh, God.
Yeah. that was a game that had some pretty personal links to stuff for me. So, but most recently, probably God of War. Actually, there was some pretty full-on moments in that as a father that connected with. So, Adrian, what about you?
No, I'm dead inside.
No, Fallout 76 is also the correct answer.
I don't. There's no game that's made me cry, but I'll offer a movie if you want me to have cried at something. Coco, Pixar's Coco, is the only media ever that's made me cry.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, go see Coco. It's amazing.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Game storyline, Christian.
See, I don't really cry at storylines in games. I'm weird. I'll actually cry at like really like emotional moments. Like I teared up from Tetris Effect.
Mm-hmm.
But storyline probably Walking Dead season 1.
That's a good call. Yeah. All right, Matt. Favorite fighting class in video games: warrior, mage, or rogue, and why?
Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
Rogue.
Because stealth and backstabbing and stealing things from people, being savvy swashbucklers. Fuck you, Adrian.
Disgusting.
All right, I'm gonna say mage because motherfucking sorcerers, man. So good. Adrian.
Ice powers. Mage.
Mm-hmm.
Ice powers.
Nerd.
Because Ranger wasn't an option, I'm going to say Warrior.
Yeah, that probably is the closest link to that. Yeah. Matt, do you prefer multiplayer games or to go solo?
Solo. Yeah, I really, really prefer solo games. Usually they have more of a narrative that I can get absorbed in. Sometimes I just don't want to deal with people. I'm actually kind of an introvert. So any opportunity that I can get to kind of spend some time to myself is fucking nice.
Mm-hmm. 100% everything you just said for me. Adrian.
I'm actually going to go multiplayer because although I do love playing games solo, some of my best memories are playing with other people.
That's fair.
Mainly just Christian, like flashbacks to DayZ, like that initial time when we first played DayZ and we dropped onto different areas of the map and we spent like an hour just trying to find each other. One of my best gaming memories. So, and although I'm not a big Destiny fan, doing the raids with Luke and some of the old party loaded crew, some of the best gaming memories there.
I'm going to say solo. Get the fuck out of my game.
Respect that.
I love it. That includes you, Adrian.
Hit you up anymore. I get it.
All right, Matt. What is the first console you ever owned?
It'd be Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo. Yeah.
Okay. Mine would be, in terms of actual console, probably the NES. Yep. Adrian?
Yeah, I just remembered I had a NES. So I told a lie before when I said the PS1 was the first I owned because I did have a Nintendo.
Nice.
First one I owned was N64. So yeah.
Okay, N64.
My older brothers had the others.
All right, so along a similar theme to the multiplayer versus single one before, Matt, do you prefer co-op or PvP?
Co-op.
Co-op?
I like PvP, I just get anxiety.
Cool. Personally, I always turn co-op into PvP, so I can say either.
That's true.
Yeah.
I would never forgive you for that sea of
So, co-op. Jam agrees. Anyway, Adrian.
Yeah, co-op, and I share Christian's sentiment when it comes to PvP. Just fuck off. Like, I'm not, and it's only from a place of insecurity because I'm never good enough to succeed at PvP. So give me PvE.
Nice.
Yeah, I tend to get a bit of like anxiety playing PvP games unless they're turn-based like Hearthstone. So in general, co-op.
Co-op. All right, Matt. What or who got you into video games in the first place?
Oh, jeez. Okay. In the first place, what got me into video games? That's tough because it was just basically like I was a kid and your parents bought you console. I think for me actually, yeah, okay. So Lego, I played with Lego all the time. I freaking loved it, and then like it was just this creative thing that I could mess around with. And so my favorite games when I was younger, I actually sold all my Lego to buy a PC so that I could actually play and make video games on a PC.
How much Lego did you sell for the PC?
About $1,000 worth.
Lego.
Yeah, so it was a lot of Lego. I had it was honestly, of all the decisions I've ever made, one I have the biggest regrets about, because like I freaking love Lego. I still have a whole bunch of it on my shelf off to the right of me. But yeah, it'd be that Lego.
Nice. For me, it was my grandmother actually bringing home like a super, like, real knockoff kind of retro handheld console from Hong Kong, actually. So, and I think it was Pac-Man, and actually owning something as opposed to just seeing it on TV got me really fucking hyped about video games, and it kind of grew from there. So, yeah. But my parents were always very much the non-gaming type, so I went pretty hard in the opposite direction, and that was a theme that carried through a lot of my life when it came to them. So, Adrian.
I don't remember. I honestly don't remember. I can think way back to maybe like being in an arcade at some point, or I do have this very faint memory of Alex the Kid, like seeing someone playing it at someone else's house. But that's it. I can't pinpoint the exact moment.
Okay.
Mine was definitely my dad. He brought home an Amiga, a Master System, and an NES. Like, he was definitely responsible for getting video games into my family and my love of them. So
Nice. All right, Matt, what is the longest amount of time you have sat playing games non-stop?
Too long. It would have been when I was doing World of Warcraft back in the day, and it probably would have been like 16 hours straight or something like that. Like doing one of the raids. Yeah.
Me, 38 hours non-stop playing Final Fantasy VII.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, and I was a lot younger. But that fucked me up.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Adrian?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know either. I'm going to say possibly Heroes of Might and Magic 2 hot seat multiplayer with my friends, or late night GoldenEye sessions, or locking myself in my room and playing Medieval Total War.
Nice. All right. Solid choices. Matt, what is your favorite song from a game?
Okay. So Halo 2 introduced a whole bunch of extra soundtracks, and there's one in there from Breaking Benjamin. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like the only Breaking. It's like a two-parter, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's like the first part. Yeah, that one.
I think I know the one you mean, because it was used in a lot of the Halo sort of videos around that time. Yeah. Mine's easy. It's Mick Gordon's BFG division from Doom 2016, hands down. If I had to pick a number 2, though, it would be Bloody Tears from Super Castlevania. So.
You're kidding! I was going to say that. Snake Man, Mega Man 3.
Wait, hang on, wait for it.
Perfect.
Mega Man 3 Snake Man stage. Sometimes I put it on when I'm driving for no reason.
Nice. Solid.
I'll say The Weight of the World.
Yes.
The Weight of the World from Nier Automata.
Okay, nice. That's a solid soundtrack too. All right, Matt, which video game character do you most wish you were like?
Oh, gee. That's not a tough one. Okay, I'm going to say Garrus. Garrus is just fucking awesome.
You have to make out with Christian now. You guys got a bone.
I was going to say Garrus. There's
You can call
two
him
people
Gay Dad.
stealing my answers.
Oh, God. Shit. This is one of the tough ones for me. I would actually probably say my version of Shepard from Mass Effect. So, because that character can be a lot of different things. What is the video game character you most wish you were like? So, yeah. So I kind of, with that character, made choices that evolved it into an extreme version of something I'd aspire to be. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Snake Man?
No, because he has a major weakness, which is Needleman's weapon. For the record,
and his power is actually pretty shit. Shooting the little snakes along the ground.
They just go like
little sperm.
Yeah, across the bottom of the level. I'm going to say Toad.
Okay.
I won't judge you.
He's pretty good. I mean, he doesn't have much room for improvement. So.
No, I'm gonna say Luigi because I'm already kind of like Luigi, but he always kind of like he gets to sleep all the time, and like he's still a major franchise mascot, so he's probably loaded, but he does fuck all. So Luigi.
Okay. He owns several mansions.
Exactly.
That is true.
But just clean up.
He probably owns the mansion. Cleaning his own mansion.
Because Garrus was taken, I'm going to say the protagonist from any Persona game because they're destined to succeed and all the girls love them.
That's a pretty good answer.
Yeah.
All right. So let's switch it up again. So we're in the final lot of 10 now. Adrian, you're going to answer first on this lot, then Christian, then Matt, then me. Okay? So, Adrian, what's a game you spent the most amount of money on?
Oh, money?
Transformers mobile game.
Who was that you, Christian?
That was me.
Was that God?
Yeah, it sounded like God. I had a massive rant in one episode about gacha games, only because I fell for it. And yeah, I spent probably up to $1,000 on that mobile Transformers game. Yeah, stupid amount. Yeah, it was fucked up. I regret it. I completely regret it.
My next?
Mm-hmm.
I spent easily over 1,000 on Hearthstone.
Yeah. Hearthstone.
Destiny 2.
Interesting.
Yeah, I spent so look,
cosmetics?
It comes down to the fact cosmetics.
Yeah,
cosmetics, like really cool freaking ships and armor and everything. Like I'll see armor and I'll be like, oh man, that looks really, really cool for Titans. Too bad I don't play my Titan. Better buy it anyway in case I change my mind and want to play a Titan.
Just vault it just in case. Yeah.
Cover all bases.
Nice.
I earn enough to allow myself to do that. Fuck it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't.
Oh, mine's easy. Mine's Hearthstone too. Not even a contest. If you could have one power of any video game character, who would it be?
Ice powers from any character that has ice powers. Like, ice power. Come on, man.
Nice. Christian?
Or it'd be a crab. Sorry.
There's a game called Mind Jack where you can jump into other people's minds and control them. I'm going to say that game. Mind Jack power.
Okay.
I want to have the powers from the main character from Skyrim so I can shout at people and make them ragdoll.
You mean kill them?
No, just ragdoll. They'll get up and they'll come over and shout at me. I break. It's fine.
Nice. If I could pick anyone, I would probably pick. Oh my god, this is actually really hard.
Cool.
Ditto from Pokemon.
Yeah.
Be whatever the fuck I want.
I think you would want to be the prince from Prince of Persia so you could turn back time because you're running out.
If I could find a way. I'd take back all the things that have hurt me, and you'd say something totally different. Anyway,
the Aqua song.
I fucking don't know. It's way before my time, and that's
Ditto's a good choice, though. In the same way, I was going to say Kirby because then you could just have anyone else's power.
Yeah,
or Mega Man because you can absorb other people's power.
Adrian, you already suck.
Yeah, I already inhale. I do have the round face of Kirby.
All right, Adrian, who is your favorite villain from a video game and why?
Mr. Freeze from Arkham, the first one. Arkham City? Arkham Asylum.
Asylum?
Was he in that one? Mr. Freeze from the first game that he was in.
Be City.
From the first Arkham
game he was
in
City. Yeah.
Find my wife, Batman. That one.
Okay. Yeah.
Find my wife. Find my wife, Batman. That one.
I think Siri's just answered your question for you. Anyway, go Christian.
Oh god, I know that I'm going to think of something better later, but I'll say What's the Reaper's name from Mass Effect? Like the first one. Can't remember.
Oh,
Jonathan.
Jonathan the Reaper.
Jonathan the Reaper.
The Reaper you talk to, and he just goes on about how you're
the one that's possessing Saren?
Yes. Yeah. Or even just Saren. Saren was a cool villain.
Okay.
Damn it, Christian. That's actually what I was going to go with. Saren. Not the Reaper, just Saren. Because I thought like, Saren's a character that he's trying to do the right thing. He's being manipulated. The fact that you can kind of just, you don't even have to fight him at the end. You can talk him out of it. Just commit suicide. Like, it's like, kind of moving in a way. Yeah. So, yeah, Saren.
Saren. Mine's probably Revolver Ocelot from the Metal Gear series.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Solid character. And he
Not Laughing Octopus?
No.
Or Fat Man?
Ocelot gets a lot of playtime throughout the entire franchise and in different aspects of his character's evolution as well, sort of playing both sides. So, yeah, he's very, very cool. All right, so Adrian, what is your favorite game from your childhood? It's probably one of the ones we talked about last week.
Yeah, Mega Man 3.
Okay.
Mega Man 3.
Christian?
Yep.
Pokemon Red and Blue.
There was this game on Sega Genesis. There was like Taz the Tasmanian Tiger, and I don't like it was good, but just because I have fond memories of playing it with my parents. And I saw videos of it recently where it's like people are complaining about how it was one of the hardest games that generation. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
Okay, nice. Super Metroid, duh. All right. What is your favorite game series of all time?
Pokemon.
Okay.
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect.
You said Pokemon wrong, Matt.
For series, for me, it's probably Mass Effect or Metal Gear. I like both a lot. When you talk individual games, Mass Effect. When you talk whole series, it's a more even competition. What's more important, action or story? Adrian?
Oh, story. Always story.
100% story.
Story.
I would actually say action for me.
Oh,
You've been voted off the
I mean,
island.
it depends on the game, but in general, story.
The reason I would say action specifically is because when it comes to video games, I think they have a unique opportunity to have that engagement through action that other mediums that you can get story from don't have. So if I want a good story, I've got a lot of other ways to get that. So
look, is it just because your dementia means it's hard to follow the story?
but then it'd be hard to follow the action. So no. Is there a game that is considered to be really bad but is your secret guilty pleasure, Adrian?
That's considered to be bad.
It's your secret guilty pleasure.
What's my guilty pleasure? I can't think of anything. Circle back to me.
Okay, Christian.
Just from looking around my room, I'm going to say Forsaken for the Nintendo 64.
Okay.
People probably don't even know what that is, but it wasn't very popular, but I loved it.
Matt.
Destiny.
The original? That's actually probably a fair answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of...
It may be Destiny 2. Like I did play a lot of it, but I hate it. So yeah, Destiny 2.
But that's more widely
That's
considered to be really bad. I guess the opening year could be true of that potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's actually the original TMNT game on Super NES. Yeah.
Do people think that's bad?
Yeah, that was widely
NES
considered
or
as... Well, I think it was on NES. Yeah, it was on NES.
NES?
Widely considered to be trash. I
Hard. I don't know about
game.
trash.
Oh, it's both.
Hard.
People really
Yeah,
didn't like it. Yeah. But I liked it a lot. All right, Adrian, if you could have any video game character as your best friend, your broski or other, who would it be?
Yep.
I get to go before Matt.
Easy.
Damn it.
That's easy. Hitler from Wolfenstein. Hands down. Hands down.
Awesome.
Garrus.
Okay, fine. I'm gonna have to pick something else. I know. Okay.
You don't have to.
No. Okay. Garrus is kind of like
You can't pick Hitler. I already took him.
I'm gonna go with Scyther from Pokemon.
Ooh, okay.
Slicey boy.
Scyther is my favorite Pokemon.
He can't touch you. He's going to cut you if he tries to.
It's the hug that never ends.
No, it does. It really does.
Too soon.
For me,
yeah,
it's all over.
Yeah.
As a millennial, I am totally fine with this hug.
I think it's really good reasoning. Oh no, I would actually probably say Joker from Mass Effect in terms of being best bud. I think the conversation would just be a little bit more scintillating. I'm sure
Seth Green is watching right now, and
he's very flattered.
Yeah.
All right, Adrian, would you rather have loads of time to play games but only be able to buy 2 games a year, or be able to buy loads of games but never have much time to play them?
Yeah, the second one. That's perfect for me because I don't have the attention span. So lots of games with less time.
Okay,
yeah, that's better.
Christian?
Yeah, lots of games, less time.
All right, Matt.
Lots of games, less time is what I live. So
we're already doing it.
Yeah, I struggle with this. I actually think that ultimately I'd be more satisfied with lots of time, fewer games, but the reality is that it's the opposite now and I'm doing pretty fine. So yeah, I think I probably agree. Yeah.
I think you get to pick and choose the ones that you really, really enjoy to focus on at that point.
Yeah, that's true. And the final question to wrap things up for tonight, Adrian, in your opinion, what is the worst game of all time that you've played?
Fallout 76.
Cool.
Fucking hands down. It is the worst piece of trash I've ever taken into my eyes, converted into fecal matter in my brain, and then managed to vomit out on the podcast to everyone. It's disgusting. It's a disgusting game. I can't even.
With a lot less drama, I'll also say Fallout 76.
Nice. Matt?
See, here's the thing. I actually hate Red Dead Redemption 2 worse than Fallout 76. And it's just because, it's so loved for reasons I just cannot comprehend. So, yeah, Red Dead Redemption.
Okay.
2. First one's good.
I'm going to say Civilization Beyond Earth.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's Beyond Earth? After Earth? I'm pretty sure it's Beyond Earth, actually.
Beyond Earth, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Game was trash. Real fucking bad. All right. And that's it. That's our rapid fire. Well, not as rapid as I was intending, but still good. Rapid fire questions for tonight. So there we go. But yeah, that's it. So that's our episode 0, gents. What do you think of that? Is it a good enough introduction to anybody to the podcast? What to expect?
I give it 0 out of 0.
Solid.
I mean, they have learned to hate us pretty quickly. Which is exactly what we want.
Definitely ground 0.
Listeners will have decided by now whether it was good or not. We got a 5 out of 7 in the chat. I'll take that.
5 out of 7. Yeah. What a weird score.
There's a meme behind that I'll explain to you at a later date.
IGN 6 out of 10.
Yeah. Absolutely. Anyway, I mean, hopefully you've enjoyed the show. If you have, then make sure you catch us every week, because we're going to be back here live on Twitch every Wednesday night. Well, night for us. It could be a different time at your part of the world, depending on where you're sort of tuning in from. But that's it.
How does that work?
Time's different in different places, man. It's a thing.
World's flat.
It's a whole thing.
Hey, what?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the world is flat.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I better ask my friend Hitler about that.
just ask Science Bro up there. He'll clue you in on all that stuff. Yeah.
Flat Earth.
Thank you, Mr. Science.
Anyway, if you want to keep up with all the stuff that we do, make sure you check out our main hub on channelendgame.com. Channel Endgame is kind of like the umbrella name for a lot of the content that we have. You can check the YouTube out at youtube.com/channelendgame. But otherwise, all of our socials at Party Loaded on Twitter and on Facebook, we're just Party Loaded. And of course, if you are watching us here on Twitch, you'll know that we're at twitch.tv/partyloaded as well. So this show always gets posted as a podcast in audio only form, as well as now will be in the video form. So you can always check out the VODs on Twitch, or you can hop on to YouTube and we'll put that up usually a short time after we go live. But yeah, that's it.
For anyone listening who has not seen the video podcast, I am extremely handsome.
Don't listen to him. It's a trap.
I'm actually difficult to look at because of how.
Shield your eyes.
I would definitely agree with
over the bottom
half
left
of
the
that.
screen.
So, I mean, you're welcome to tune in, but I can't be held responsible for any sexual activity that may occur as a result of watching me on a camera. So
I will also say that you can tune in, and as far as Adrian's visage goes, we will not be held responsible for the outcome as well. So, but that's it. Anyway, you can see us all same time again next week. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks, gents, for being part of the show tonight.
Thank you for hosting, as always, Luke.
That's it. Yep. And we'll be back again same time next week. But until then, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production. For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.